I bought over 445s on eBay. Now I'm going through them, cleaning each one, and looking for lost gems. And the next one is Peter, Paul, and Mary. And this is one whose A side I know very well. I dig rock and roll music. The B side is amazingly called The Great Mandella, The Wheel of Life. I know the A side, I dig rock and roll music, because one of my family's most played records when I was, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, which is really when you remember music, was their 10 years together, whatever that was. They had a greatest hits album with a white cover. Anyway, I know all the songs on that album really, really well because I heard it over and over and over and over on car trips and in the house. So I know I dig rock and roll music, which is very similar to Monterey by Eric Burdon and the Animals, in which it mentions musicians, like their contemporaries, by name, and it like mentions Mamas and the Papas, it mentions Donovan, it mentions the Beatles, and it tries to sort of musically emulate them in each of those verses, those artists. So it's I read a review once of this song, I dig rock and roll music, that said something like it won't be confused with Rolling Stones or something, but its spirit is appreciated. So it's kind of like these folk guys, folk trio in their 30s, saying, "Oh, we like the rock and roll music. We're hip." So it's good. It's fun. The Great Mandella, The Wheel of Life, sounds very, very cosmic and hippie and psychedelic. And as far as I know, Peter, Paul, and Mary never really went in that direction. So I'm very curious to hear that. Is it really like some kind of great cosmic weird lost B-side from the late 60s? I think this came out in 1967. I don't know why I think that, but that's what I think. So let's check it out. Let's enjoy I Dig Rock and Roll Music. Take a little musical tour of what Peter, Paul, and Mary thought the rock and roll was in 1967, and see if they got really super cosmic or whatever on the Great Mandella, The Wheel of Life. Oh, by the way, I Dig Rock and Roll Music said it was written by Stookie, Paul Stookie, and then Mason Dixon. Is that possible? The surveyors who came up with the Mason-Dixon line are two other actual people in the 60s called Mason and Dixon. Sounds like a joke, but maybe it's not.
I dig rock and roll music and I love to get the chance to play and sing it. I figure it's about
It
the
does sound like
happy
Donovan
sound
and Mamas and Papas kind of pushed together.
the message may not move me,
Great melodies, great singing, of course. It's a good song. It feels so groovy to say.
I dig the mamas and the papas at the Trip Sunset Strip in L.A. And
They got a good thing going when the words don't get in the way. There's the Beatles with the tambourine. No, 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 that's still Mamas and Papas. Oh, I thought the tambourine part was the Beatles. I think Donovan's coming up. Donovan, are you ready? That's what Donovan sounded like. Here's the Beatles. See? Basically a novelty song. Can you imagine that? Imagine Peter Palmer, especially Paul, like this guy with like very, very thin hair, basically bald, trying to tell everybody like he's wearing like a sport jacket, trying to talk about how he likes rock and roll. Fine. I wonder if this was a big hit. It was on their greatest hits album. And greatest hits albums are always have only songs that were hits, right?
So I told him that he'd
A
better
little more earnest than cosmic.
mouth.
They really liked Pete Seeger, didn't they?
I will never kill
Okay, this is a gentle folk morality tale, not a cosmic green Mandelishi Mandela.
What the hell does he think he's doing?
You can't say that on a record.
To his father, your place on
Sugar Mountain.
as it moves through your brief moment of time.
Little cosmic chords and melody there.
You must choose
Ooh. Oh, when you use a minor chord right. Uh-oh. Ooh, very gentle and meaningful. I'm glad they were still doing this in '67. You can fake it on the A side, but the B side should show you what you're really all about. Mandella. Does he mean mandala? Is that a correct transliteration? Are they inventing their own language? I could see this being played in 1967 on turntables throughout the world. I hope everybody's didn't skip like mine. They should have done this in the Donovan style of that section of the A side. See, they had it. They had it all right in front of them. They just didn't grab it. They didn't put it all together. It took me 50 years later to come by and help them. Years. Sugar Mountain. It is a lengthy B-side. Well, it's weird how the A-side requires no attention at all. It's just easy. It's just pew! And then the B-side, you really have to sit there and ponder it and consider it and think about it. And unfortunately, mine has a skip. Well, Ruby Rosing and I really enjoyed I Dig Rock and Roll Music. I like both of them. Let's see if I Dig Rock and Roll Music was a hit back in, I think, '67. And we'll see what the deal is with the great Mandella. Oh, we'll also see what's the deal with Mason and Dixon. That can't be true. As it turns out, I Dig Rock and Roll Music was released in 1967. It was a hit, reaching number 9 in the US, and was written by Paul Stuckey and James Mason and Dave Dixon, not Charles and Jeremiah. The picture sleeve is particularly awesome. I wish mine came with it. And here's an unexpected rock and roll connection for you. Both of the songs on this 45 came from the Peter, Paul and Mary LP called Album 1700. Also on that album is a song called I'm in Love with a Big Blue Frog, which was written by Leslie Brownstein. Who is Leslie Brownstein, you ask? Well, only the lead singer of Soft White Underbelly, who later became Blue Oyster Cult. So think of that when you listen to Peter, Paul and Mary. The Sanskrit word mandala means circle, as in circle of life, and is usually rendered Mandala, although Mandella is occasionally seen. I guess Peter, Paul and Mary had a good thing going when the words didn't get in the way.